Fat Guy Flies or Received. Down here coming to you from the man cave. As you can see, I now have the flash completely together. Last time I left off from the build, or the assembly, I still had to put the wing screws in. So the wing screws are in. I got the receiver bound in there, and everything's bound up and ready to go, but I'll show you how I did that. Now, as you can see, I have on my Hobby King CG machine. The CG, you measure it from where the wing joins the fuselage, and you go back 80 to 90 millimeters, okay? So I've got those marks on the underside of the wings. I'll show you in a second, but with a 2200 almost all the way, 2200 4S, almost all the way forward on that factory CG, as you can see, she's just perfect right there. Okay, so she's on, she's active. This is interesting in that you're not going to be able to change much on this plane for your own the way you like it, because they realize how fast this thing is. They want you to have a good experience. I'll tell you what I mean by that. But there is where I have a 2200, and you look, you've got one indentation there for a strap, and then you got another indentation here for a possible strap. Well, on that second indentation is where the end of my 2200 balances. I took that AR-620, hooked everything in the front of it. The servos are going that, servo leads are going this way, and then tucked it on all the wires underneath it, and then I wedged that AR-620 right in there, and then that kind of cleaned everything up and gave me plenty of room in there. Okay. I left the S bus plugged into what would be my flap channel, or channel 6, and if you look, I've got a solid light on the reflex. That means that I'm in stabilized mode. So if you look at this elevator here, see how it's kicking up? Now look how it's level. Okay. Now look at watch those ailerons, how they'll kind of move, and they stay in that position. That elevator stays in that position. So a solid light, solid flash, or no flash, is in stabilized mode. Okay. What I call experience mode is just a very slow flash, which means you've got nothing. And then stabilized or optimized mode, or AS3X, and that's what you've got. And it's a very fast flash, okay? And that's where you're just like AS3X, and you can, the control surface should go towards the direction of the plane. So if it goes up, it should go against my hand. The elevator should go against my hand. The rudder should go against my finger, and it does. The aileron should go against my finger, and it does. So we know that the stabilized mode. And one more thing that works right, otherwise it's their optimized. It's what they call optimized. No gyro at all, so no help. And then optimized mode. Another way you can. This is the best way to check. Make sure that holds the up position when you put the plane down for stability mode, or it's kind of like they're safe. That should hold, the aileron should hold its position. Now another way you can, at least you know you're in that. If you turn it upside down, you see I'm trying to correct. That way you know you're in that mode, but always do it this way, because what if you had your ailerons reversed, you'd still see them, they're wagging like that, and you think, oh, well, it's good. Well, no, they're going the wrong way. Make sure that the control surface stays up. That's the most sure way to check. All right, so let's explain what happened in the radio. Right off the bat, you would have already set up let me unplug this, okay? I'll leave it plugged in sitting here, okay? All right, you would have already set up a new model, named it, and set your throttle cut. You would have picked one normal wing, because you don't have flaps or anything, all right? Now, this is what's interesting. This is an extremely flat, fast, small plane. And they know if you're wanting to use this reflex system, okay, they know that you don't want sudden movements. Okay, so in optimized mode, in other words, no self-level, I want to show you, and you can't change it without going into reflex and reprogramming it with that program cable. Don't ask me how to do it. Okay. All right. Oh, and by the way, the ESC was calibrated, and the prop's balanced. Okay. So that I did off camera. I have other videos out there that show you how to calibrate an ESC and how to. Okay. That's how you know you got that reflex system that does that dance. And I have other videos on how to balance a prop. So we're not worried about that for this. Just take my word for it, it's good. In the stabilized mode, or their version of safe or self-level, I want you to pay attention. Look at how much movement there is. Okay? They also know that if you let go of the stick, she's going to self-level. Now, when you go to optimize or AS3X, so there's no self-level, just wind gyro, there isn't, look at how much movement I have. Nowhere near as much as I had in safe or in stability, which is usually the other way around, but they understand that you're going to be flying this thing really, really fast, okay? This is not a beginner plane. So what they've done is you launch it in stabilized mode or safe mode, okay? And you got plenty of movement to correct yourself. And then once you get up to speed, then they know you're going to switch, because now you're up there at over 100 miles an hour. You do not want that kind of movement at 100 miles an hour. This is the kind of movement you want at 100 miles an hour. Okay, so all I've done is gone in there and I've still 100% throws, because they've already got it set for me, and I've got 20% expo, and that's it. Okay, 20% expo, and more than likely, until I get used to it, I'll fly around and I'll fly around in safe, being very careful on my sticks. And then if I get up really fast, I'll switch to stabilized mode or AS3X or optimized mode. But I'm always going to launch. I'm always going to launch this thing in stability mode, or what I call stabilized mode, which is the same thing as AS3X. And I'm going to launch it this way because I want that prop to protect my hand. Or you could launch it. I've seen other people launch it a little further up like this and just let go, and because it's got a better than 1-for-1. All right, we'll put it in the AS3X mode. This thing's got so much power. Okay, at half throttle, already wanting to rotate itself. Half throttle, well, not quite half throttle. And it's already got a 1-for-1. At half throttle, okay. Now I can't. Now it's going to just take off. So it's got more than enough power. Okay, this thing's going to scream like a rocket. Okay. All right, let's go to our prop secured, and let me show you how you set this thing up. Okay. All right. You've already got. We're going to go to system setup. Okay. All right. You got the flash, right? Okay. Go down here. I'll do this again. I just went right on out of it. On system setup, you're going to go to your channel assign. Okay. You're going to make sure gear is B, aux 2 is B. Okay, gear is gear. Okay, and actually we're using aux 1 is aux 2. Aux 1 is aux 2. In other words, I'm going to be programming the flap channel is going to be used for auxiliary. As long as gear is B and aux 2 is B, you're golden. Gear is B, aux 2 is B. You do that, and that's all you got to worry about as far as assigning the channels, okay? Now you go back to your model, okay? If you hadn't bound it already, all you would have done is plugged in your battery on your plane, hit the bind button, come over here, hit bind, and then hit bind there, and then it would have bound, okay? Then you would have had communication with your plane. Now, Expo, like I said, I left it alone. Actually, I got it on 125% movement, and you can see that's hardly any real movement. And I've got that on all the control surfaces because they're really constricting you with a reflex on the movement of the control surfaces. That's at 125 on ailerons. Okay. I just did 125 on my ailerons, okay, and 125 on my elevator, 125 on my rudder. Now, watch this.
Stabilize mode.
Their stabilized mode or self-level. Got a lot of movement, don't they? You're not going to fly fast. You're not going to be flying fast at this moment. Now, if you want to, and fly this thing strictly in stabilize mode, you could go in here and change your aileron down to, say, 50. See? I'm in stabilize mode, and that's all the movement I'm going to get. Okay? So that's entirely up to you, but you're not going to be able to turn the plane upside down or do any kind of maneuvers. So I'm leaving everything. Actually, I'm going to change all that to 100% because it does affect in their safe mode, and I don't want to be over the top. Okay, yeah, everything's at 100% now. The rudder, everything's at 100%. Okay, and in their stability mode, that's nothing, and that's AS3X. But that's got plenty of movement because you're going to be flying so fast. So mainly the main point I'm wanting to get here is because the plane is going to fly so fast, you do not want a lot of movement, okay? Because the small amount, those are decent sized control surfaces, and when you're flying along really, really fast, if you had a sudden movement or a really distinct movement, you're going to flip the thing right out of the air. You know, you want smaller, less movement, and you're going to get a dramatic change in the attitude of the plane anyways. So if you have a sudden big movement, it's just going to be uncontrollable, and no one can fly like that. So, and you say, well, wait a minute, in self-level, you've got all that movement. Yeah, this is where you fly slow. This is if you want to fly around nice and slow, okay, put her in stabilize mode, and now you don't have that extreme speed going over it, okay. But this plane has to have enough, this is not meant to be slow. It's meant to be fast. But the slower you go, the more movement you need out of that control surface. So that's why whenever I come in for this kind of plane, and so I start slowing her down, I'm going to put her into the stability mode, or safe, and land her that way. Because she's a rocket ship. My normal cruising will be in AS3X or optimized. Taking off and landing will be in stabilized mode. I guess I could have just condensed it all that. Leave the settings alone because that's how she's meant to fly. Okay? I hope I didn't make that clear as mud for you. But take off in our stability mode, land in stability mode, fly around in optimized mode. Okay? And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I got a timer set for 3.5 minutes. If you saw how you just make sure your aux 2 is set to B and gear is set to B because you're going to control it by, or whatever switch you want to put it on. Go ahead and leave your throws at 100% and whatever you feel comfortable with Expo because the reflex already controls how much movement you get with your control surfaces when you're out of the stability mode. When you're in the stability mode, it automatically gives you a lot of control, a lot of movement, but they understand this is when you're taking off and when you're landing and when you're at slower speeds. So it flies a little bit differently than the average plane. So there you go. I can't think of anything else more. Like I said, we saw this. You saw the CG, and it's right there. But just to show you to you, is all. Yeah, see. If you look, you see these. Give you landmarks. You see the wires there. You see the end of those decal on both sides. Basically, just put your finger at the end of that decal and come in, and then that's where it's at. And that is, well, you saw it on the thing. Okay, that's where it's at. That's where it's CG's right, perfect right there with a 2200 4S. Okay, like I say, the already calibrated, props already balanced. She's going to be a fast javelin. They could have easily called this the javelin jet. So, a javelin plane. I ended up putting my AR-620 right there. Use the Velcro. Straps right there. 2200 from basically here forward. Tucks down there. CG is just great. And there you go. I can't think of anything else really to say about it. It's a nice plane. I just can't wait to fly it. Y'all have a good one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And a big shout out to Hobby Zone for sending this out for me to review. Thank you so much, Hobby Zone. Thank you, my viewers. Thank you, my followers. And just thank you, the good Lord above, for giving me this wonderful hobby. And I really appreciate it. God bless y'all. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends, and then planes. Goodbye.